Everybody, welcome to this episode on the Nutmegs and Knee Slides podcast. In this video, we're going to be talking about a few things. First of all, I do want to touch on something from the last episode. I'm very sorry, I did get a glimpse of it, but there was a bit of a technical difficulty, and one of the videos of recordings and that it didn't show up. So yeah, unfortunately, I just want to touch on that. There wasn't too much. All I wanted to say in that part that didn't get in the cut, it was simply just my thoughts on on the whole Jeremy Doku saga and what's regarding him right now. So right now, for those of you who have been living under a rock or have been watching the World Cup, he's currently got him and his wife. They are expecting their first child, and it's happening during the World Cup. And Jeremy Doku said he's probably going to leave the Belgium squad to go be with his wife while she gives birth. And there's been mixed reactions. One French journalist saying that it's not a moment where the father is needed. You know, he's leaving a whole tournament to cut an umbilical cord. There's players who have been killed to be at a World Cup, and he's throwing it all away just to go be with his wife. Um, Here's what I think. My thoughts: Jeremy Doku leaving the World Cup to go and be with his wife. I can understand it. You know, I think that he's doing the right thing by being there with his wife when they give birth. And, you know, it's a good thing for, you know, his wife to have the support of her husband. You know, Jeremy Doku, he's, you know, I believe he's a strong Christian. He's got good values and that, you know, like, you know, as a Man United fan, it's hard to, you know, talk good about a Man City player. You know, I've been critical of Jeremy Doku and how his ability is when it comes to end product with scoring goals and finishing. You know, he's a good dribbler and all that. But like, yeah, his values and all that, he seems like a good guy. So I think he is doing the right thing. That being said, though, like, I would if. You know, if my girlfriend, if I had a, if my partner was having a baby, and I was away at football, you know, I play football. I think to the future sometimes. If my partner was pregnant and she was giving birth, I would want to be there. You know, and that's the hard part because football, you know, it's your job. You know, you can't. Most people can't just leave their job, let alone when you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. Here's the other thing, though. It doesn't can't be avoided if you want to have a child. But could Jeremy Doku not have planned this ahead? You know, like as a footballer, do you would you not look and think, okay, there's a World Cup coming at this time. I'll probably be going to that World Cup with my national team if we qualify and I get picked, which when you're a player like Jeremy Doku, you can look and think, okay, Belgium is definitely going to qualify. Belgium will definitely pick me. You should probably look at that and think, okay, me and my wife, we're not doing anything. We're not going to do anything that can create a baby within this time period, right? Because if we do, there's a chance that the baby will be born while I'm at the World Cup. So like you don't just get pregnant, obviously. We all know that. I think we do. But the thing is, it can be avoided having having to leave the World Cup to go be there for your wife and your child. Like, yes, I think Jeremy Dock is doing the right thing. You know, he's going to be there when his first child is born. His wife's going to have his support. It's an important moment, I think. I don't believe what they're saying about it's a moment the father isn't needed. He's just going to cut a cord. No, I don't believe in that. I think any father wants to be there for the birth of their first child. But then again, hopefully in future, footballers do take page out of this book. Because I know Jamie Carragher's talked about a story that one time he his wife went into labour and had their baby, and he had an away, I believe it was an away day in the Champions League in like Switzerland, maybe, or something like that. And he went and played the game. And he said, "Oh, my wife still brings it up to this moment." But yeah, I think as a footballer, you can take a page out of that book, and you know, just try and make sure that your baby won't be born while you're playing at a great international tournament. I mean, there will be some nerves, because I think he's a decent part of Belgium and a decent player for them. And, like, should they go out when he's not there and they look at the performance and go, oh, we could have won that game if we had a faster player or a good dribbler or a Jeremy Doku style player. And if he did that, then there will be questions asked in the future. If Jeremy Doku goes off to be with his wife and then and he comes back, Belgium's still in the World Cup, he can keep playing, then it should be fine. But there'll be questions if they do get knocked out, Belgium. I believe that their next game is against Senegal. Can't remember when Jeremy Doku's going to be leaving by, but yeah, if there will be questions, but I think he's doing the right thing. That being said, there was a few more group stage games getting played today. Messi scores again for Argentina. Free kick comes off the bench. I said it a number of times now, and I'll say it again. He is a phenomenal player. Like picking between him and Ronaldo. I said this. I pick Ronaldo, but like it's hard. It's definitely hard. It's not an easy pick. When you look at Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, you have to pick one of them. Yeah, it's not an easy pick because they're both phenomenal players and they've been like that for decades now, I guess. So yeah. Speaking of Ronaldo, people have got to. I've done posts and stories about people need to give Ronaldo the same praise that they give Messi because Ronaldo's he's got a brace at this World Cup now. He's scored. You've really got to give Ronaldo your praise. He's just played today for Portugal against Colombia. They get a 0-0 draw. And I need to seriously. I don't know why people want to criticize Ronaldo. Why do you want to criticize Ronaldo? I saw, Thogden, the YouTuber. I think a lot of people in the football world know Thogden. I used to watch a fair bit of him. I've drifted off him in the last couple of years. But used to watch a fair bit of his football vlogs. And Thogden, like watching, he literally put up a whole story. He was at the Colombia game. He was sitting with the Colombia fans, doing all that stuff. He was literally celebrating the goal. He captioned the video of the disallowed goal from Davinson Sanchez. He literally captioned it. VAR saves Ronaldo from embarrassing defeat. And then he literally had AI images of Ronaldo in the VAR room. And honestly, that is now I can actually kind of see what I thought some of the hate on Thogden is actually kind of forced. But now I can actually see why he gets some of the hate that he does. Because honestly, Thogden, grow up, mate. Grow up, honestly. You know what I don't get? He's trying to. Let's take Thogden for example. I know Thogden doesn't represent all Messi fans or all people who don't like Cristiano Ronaldo. But here's the thing. He said, and I can quote him on that, VAR saves Ronaldo from embarrassing in all caps, loss against Colombia. He's saying that if Ronaldo had lost that game, it would be embarrassing. The question is, Theo, why is that? Is that an embarrassing defeat because Ronaldo is such a good player? Or is it an embarrassing defeat because Portugal are the better team than Colombia? All right, because I can say this definitely. Colombia aren't a bad team. You know, if you lose to Colombia, especially the way that game's gone, it's not embarrassing. You know, the momentum of that game. No, I hate the whole game momentum stats that are going around, but like the way that game went, it looked like it favored Colombia for the most part. You look at that. Why is the game embarrassing, Theo? Why is the game embarrassing if he loses? Is it because Ronaldo is that good and he's such a good player that it would be embarrassing if he lost? Or is it because that they should just Colombia are a bad team and any team that gets beat by them is awful? You know, you can't have it both ways. You have to have a reason for why it's embarrassing. All right? Yes, sure. Ronaldo, he's not looked at the races. You know, I would definitely be changing up a few of my World Cup predictions when I've looked at Portugal in this tournament. You know, Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, Ronaldo, and all that haven't looked at their best. But then again, you know, there's so much more to it. You know, everyone is still saying drop Ronaldo. You know, it's people say it's his ego. Ronaldo's ego is going to cost Portugal this World Cup because he's still playing in the starting 11. Grow up! Actually, grow up! Like, honestly, Ronaldo is the best option Portugal have at striker. Because not only, if you drop Ronaldo, who are you going to play? You're going to play Gonzalo Ramos. I've watched him play in person, over the screen. He doesn't even start for PSG. You know, he's an absolute donkey. I've literally watched him miss a penalty from like eyes distance. You know, I was almost pitch side when I saw him miss a penalty against against Leon this season. Like that's why it's so shocking to me. Just a quick touch that he's just moved to AC Milan for a record club fee, like 80 million euros. What a scam! What a scam! Gonzalo Ramos to AC Milan for 80 million euros. Like how desperate you could get a much better player than Gonzalo Ramos for less than 80 million. And if you play him over Ronaldo, the other big thing is that, you know, João Neves, Vitinha, Dalot, Diaz, Diogo Costa, João Felix, Pedro Neto, that's Portugal's squad. And it's very young. Nuno Mendes, even. You know, Renato Vega's that's a very young squad. You know, aside from maybe Bruno Fernandes or Ruben Neves, Ronaldo brings leadership and experience. You know, he's the captain. He's played at World Cups before. He's one of. This is. Granted, it was 8 years ago, but the Russia World Cup, like Ronaldo and probably a few other players like Bruno Fernandes and that, are the only players from that team that's still playing. You know, some of those players in that Portugal squad have only got 3 tournaments experience. Ronaldo's got more than 10. So, like, if you drop Ronaldo, not only are you losing your captain, your leadership, and your experience of playing in a World Cup, but you're also losing out and playing Gonzalo Ramos. You know, I'm not discrediting Gonzalo Ramos. You know, he might come off the bench in Portugal's game against Croatia and absolutely kill it and prove me wrong. But until that happens, I think Portugal will be better with Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not his ego. You know, Ronaldo doesn't dictate everything in Portugal. You know, he doesn't pick the starting 11. He doesn't pick who gets called up. Roberto Martinez is doing this at his own free will. So let Ronaldo do his thing. Because he's still a good goal scorer. He can still do a good header. He can still get a powerful shot in. He's had to reinvent himself, obviously, to, you know, play a decent role in this team. But he's still a good player. Let him do what Cristiano Ronaldo does. And that's score goals. Because he will always, that's the guarantee with Ronaldo, he will always score goals. Right? If you call Ronaldo up to your World Cup game, give him time, give him good service, he will score goals. Give him a good cross, he will score goals. You know, any team, even if if he went back to Real Madrid, obviously we all know that he's not prime Ronaldo anymore. But might not be 30, 40, 50 goal seasons that he was getting, but he will still score goals. That's what Cristiano Ronaldo is built on. Another touch now on England playing the other day. They just played actually today against Panama. To look at that, it's decent. We get through. Thomas Tuchel, though, when we have a look at who Thomas Tuchel picked for that game, I think it's good that he, made some changes. He put Marcus Rashford into the squad. So, yeah, good job on that, Thomas Tuchel. But yeah, when you look at the way they lined up, he put some sense in, and put Rashford and Saka onto the field. Didn't have the best of games, the two of them, but still did bits. He starts Morgan Rogers over Declan Rice again because Declan Rice is injured, and that's understandable. But Jarell Quansah is starting at right back. Now there's got to be questions raised about Thomas Tuchel doing that because obviously he's got no choice, Tino Livramento got injured, Reece James got injured. At the end of the day, though, Reece James, he's a great player, great right back, Reece James, but he's always going to run the risk of getting injured. Right? And when Livramento left the squad, you had the chance to bring in another right back to replace him, and you brought in another centre back. Like, again, as a United fan, I don't like giving credit to ex-Liverpool players in this case, but still Liverpool links and all that. But where is Trent? Why is Trent still not gotten a looking for Thomas Tuchel? Right? It doesn't matter that he's had a bad season. He's the best we've got at the moment in terms of English fit right backs. And the worst part is Thomas Tuchel, he should be kicking himself, but he's not. I like it when a coach shows passion, that they have a hunger to win. When I look at Thomas Tuchel on the sidelines, I rarely see any passion. Whether it's because he's German, you let an English national team get coached by a German, maybe it's a self-sabotage. I don't think it is. But anyway, whether he's got a lack of passion because he's German or whether it's, just because he's won a lot of stuff, this is a side quest for him, maybe. Surely not, though. When you're managing England, it's never a side quest. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't see a passion in Thomas Tuchel. I'm not saying get rid of it, but I don't see enough passion as I would like to see. I want to see more, look towards what the team needs. And what we needed is a Trent. When Livramento went away, Thomas Tuchel should have went, okay, we've now only got one right back. We're going to get one more centre back. If Reece James gets injured, we're out of right backs. It's fine. I don't want Trent. So yeah, that's where I think he's gone wrong. Have you ever want to be famous in the football world? We can't guarantee that, but we can guarantee you a chance to come on the Nutmegs and Knee Slides podcast as a guest, as a contestant for one of our many little mini games that we're going to host soon, or if you've got any ideas for what you want to see on the Nutmegs and Knee Slides podcast, let us know. Leave a comment down below, or if you'd like, you can email us at nutmegsandsneesides@gmail.com for more information. Now, back to the show. Quick touch on one more topic, and then I'm going to move on to the predictions for the knockout stage. So I want to quickly just touch in on Australia, because I've definitely been, for those of you who watch the podcast a bit, you definitely followed a few of the watch-alongs I've done of Australia's games. And yeah, when you look at Australia, they've got good players, but the Paraguay game was awful. I think from both teams, both teams do did set up very defensively, and when you do that, there's definitely going to be not a lot of entertainment, lots of defending, but still, it was kind of boring. If I had to pick a man of the match, I'd probably say it was Jordy Boss of Australia, just because he looked decent, going forward. I did notice Popovic did one attacking thing, and that's because he actually changed. He changed his right back and his left back, or his wing backs. He changed them around, and I actually kind of like that because playing Jordan Boss, the left footer, on the right, and Behic, the right footer on the left, it almost adds like another dimension of attacking threat from the two of them while still playing in a wingback role. So that's not bad from Popovic, I don't think. It definitely paid off. Not well, I wouldn't say paid off, but like it definitely went to plan. Jordan Boss definitely did get some attacking chances, particularly late on in the game. But it's not a good result. But I would have loved to see Australia win, but we're through. We got to the last 32, and now we're going to play against Egypt. That would definitely be an exciting game. And according to this, it says that we're playing, I believe it's on the Friday. Let's have a look. I think it is on the Friday, actually. Or is it a Saturday? Yes, so Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time at 4 a.m. Australia will be playing against Egypt, so we're definitely going to have a live watch along for that. So if you feel free, tune in. We can watch the game, and hopefully it'll be exciting. But yes, I hope Australia can beat Egypt. It's winnable. They do have good players, Mo Salah, again, Omar Mamouche, but that Egypt backline can maybe be their fall somewhat. They've held good teams in this World Cup to some decent draws. So maybe the defense isn't as bad as some people would have liked it to be. But it will be hard. But be confident. Australia can definitely beat Egypt, and we'll be watching. So good luck to Australia for that. Right now, final thing to do is got right here World Cup predictions. So I can predict here now that we have knockout stages down, because again, like I said, it was hard to predict who would finish where. But yes, this is now that we have knockout stages confirmed. I'm now going to set up to predict the knockout stages. So, first of all, we've got Germany against Paraguay. I mean, Paraguay looked decent. Miguel Almiron will be back for that game, I think. But I think Diego Lopez did get more yellow cards, so he's going to be suspended for that game. So as a result, I would probably say that it's going to be Germany who does advance in that game. Next up, France versus Sweden. We're going to actually try and get a live watch along for that game. Again, stay tuned on social media and that, because we're going to give more updates on social media for live watch alongs and any other content we're putting out. This will be interesting to watch on Fox Sports. France versus Sweden. You're going to have Henry versus Zlatan up in the booth. And I would probably say that it's going to be France that win that game. The next game is actually tomorrow at the time of this recording. It's South Africa versus Canada. That would be exciting. South Africa definitely proved me wrong. I actually thought they were going to get grouped. Obviously I'm still young. At my school, there's a South African teacher who's been talking about the World Cup, and I said it to him. I hate to break it to you, but I don't think South Africa's going to get out of this group, and they have. So yeah, I've not heard from him yet. So, but I'm sure that he'll be very happy. However, I think now Canada will probably win that game. Now the next one in Monterrey, Netherlands versus Morocco, and that will be exciting. Morocco, they can pull off an upset. Definitely Morocco. They've done it against a few teams, Brazil. Whether the Netherlands are actually better is another thing. They definitely got some good players. It's actually a very hard. It's a lot closer than people actually might think, that game. And I think I'm narrowly gonna actually say Morocco to pull off an upset against the Netherlands. Now in Toronto, Portugal versus Croatia. Again, I haven't had as much high hopes for Portugal as I did at the start of the tournament. So yeah, it's interesting. Croatia looked decent in a few games this tournament, but again, I think I'm gonna narrowly give it to Portugal. So yeah, uh, again in Los Angeles, Spain versus Austria. Austria fighting for a 3-3 draw against Algeria. Close game. They'll they'll be happy to have won that one. But I think it ends here. Spain, couple decent results. They're still yet to concede in this World Cup, so congratulations to them. But yeah, I think they'll probably win against Austria. San Francisco, the United States versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, I think give the United States fans false hope, but I do think that the US, host nation, they'll win that game. I think. Um, Belgium versus Senegal. Senegal looked not necessarily the best. They've had one good game, 5-0 against Iraq, but against France and Norway, they've looked a bit shaky. So when they play against a big team, we can't really back them as much. So with that, I will probably say it's going to be Belgium that wins. Houston hosting Brazil versus Japan. That'll be an exciting one. I've got a few friends in Japan, so I want to message them and let them know or ask them what they think can happen in that game. But I would probably have to go for Brazil because they've got good players. Vinny Jr.'s looking good. Mateus Cunha's looking good. They've got some good players in this World Cup so far. In Dallas, Ivory Coast versus Norway. That would be an exciting one. I think that's a very close game to call. I could definitely see Ivory Coast making a win. Amad Diallo's looked good this tournament. Yan Diamond has looked very good this tournament. Lafont, their goalkeepers, looked good. So as Norway, Norway and Haaland. Haaland surprises me that he didn't start against France, but and I think again, hard one. You could definitely see an upset, but I'm gonna say it's Norway that win. Now, Mexico City. I believe this is the final game in this whole tournament against at the Azteca, or maybe there's one more. But Mexico versus Ecuador again. The fans are going to be there. We saw what they were like in the opening game against South Africa. You got to give it to Mexico. They can pull off something before the round of 16 curse kicks in. In Atlanta, you've got England versus the Democratic Republic of Congo. The battle for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Very close. Congo have had their moments. It'll be interesting to see whether the statue guy and all that, whatever. I can't remember his name, but yeah, whether he's there. But I think I would have to say England win that game. Then you've got in Miami, Argentina versus Cape Verde. Congratulations to Cape Verde for getting through in this tournament. because Bosnia. You played against some decent teams. You've played against the European champions and held them to a draw at 0-0. You've held Saudi Arabia to a draw. You've held Uruguay, I believe it was, also to a draw. Yeah, congratulations. But it's world champions Argentina. You have to say it's going to be them. Again, in Dallas, Australia versus Egypt. We know, don't have to say anything. It's going to be Australia. Come on, the green and gold. Make us proud down under. Switzerland versus Algeria in Vancouver. Again, that's going to be an exciting one. It's a very close one to call. I think Mahrez is finally starting to pick up a bit in this World Cup. And Switzerland do look good. But I think I'm actually going to select Algeria to beat the Swiss. I can see that happening. And then lastly, the round of 32, Kansas City, Colombia against Ghana. I mean, Colombia, again, they've looked very good this tournament. Hold Portugal to a 0-0 draw. I was surprised that Daniel Munoz didn't start, but he's looked very good. I think if he starts again, they'll have a really good chance. So, yeah, I would probably say that will most likely be the South Americans in Colombia that win that. Now, onto the last 16. This is obviously providing that all my predictions are correct, so don't quote me on anything. And we're starting off with an absolute belter of a prediction. Germany versus France. Oh, that's going to be the biggest game of the tournament so far. And I would probably say that it's going to be the favourites, in my eyes at least. France that are going to win that. Can be maybe not close, but I can see maybe like a 2-0, a 3-1 scoreline. But France will probably it'll look a lot closer than the scoreline suggests, but France will definitely get through. Canada versus Morocco. Now, this is a game that we actually did see in Qatar, and I believe it was a draw. But I would actually probably say Canada don't win this one. I think Morocco can probably win that one. Now, in Dallas, Portugal playing against Spain. I mean, same time, like I said, Portugal, you know, lacking a bit of, people expect more from Ronaldo and all that, and they've not looked the best. Then again, no, remember what I've said about Spain, you're not going to win a World Cup with Ferran Torres or Real Sabo up top. But I think it's probably going to be Spain that wins that one, and Portugal go out. And I mean, we're all going to say, Ronaldo finishes his career without a World Cup trophy. But then again, we all said that about Qatar. We all said that in the last Euros. You never know. United States versus Belgium. I feel like Belgium beating Senegal, it will probably be a bit more of a scrappier win because we've seen a bit of scrappy football from Belgium. That 5-1 against New Zealand. Good job, you win 5-1. But then again, there's more to it, I think. So, yeah, there's I think actually I don't know why, but I don't like seeing the US do well in this World Cup. I kind of like seeing football in the United States grow, but American fans are kind of annoying and all that, especially having played against Australia and all that. So yeah, I would actually probably, but yeah, I actually feel like the United States would win that game. I don't know why. I just got a feeling that we're going to see something better from them than we will from Belgium. We then got Brazil versus Norway. And again, Brazil, big nation in the World Cup. I feel like that could actually be a game for them, playing against Haaland, Odegaard. Okay, yeah. I think they'll be rowing their boat back to Norway. You've then got, yes, this will be exciting. The Azteca Stadium, Mexico versus England. So much history, so much. That would be an incredible game. And I think, as we all know, Mexico tend to go out in the last 16. I can see England beating them and progressing. Now, in Atlanta, Argentina versus Australia. Oh my god, we could be seen to face it again. That's how we went out in Qatar. And unfortunately, that's probably how we go out again. Because, it's Argentina, it's Messi. They've looked very good this tournament. It feels so bad me saying that. I don't want them to go out. And anyway, the last game, Algeria versus Colombia. Again, Colombia, they've looked very good in this tournament. I would probably say that it'll be Colombia that do advance to the next round. So with that, we've now got the picks for the World Cup quarterfinals. So first game, France versus Morocco, rematch of the 2022 semi-final, and I feel France come out on top. Just about, but France, good team, looked very good in this tournament. Dembele's got a hat trick. They've got so much good attacking depth. They can't not win that game. They can maybe. Who knows? Again, Morocco might cause an upset, but yeah, that's probably what will happen. Los Angeles, Spain versus the United States. Exciting, but this is where the last host nation leaves and Spain advance. In Miami, Brazil against England. Exciting. Again, though, this pains me to say it, but you look at England, we've been a bit below par this tournament. We've not had much challenging runs and challenging teams. Brazil have looked much better than we have. And the bias of me is saying go England, but unbiased, I have to take Brazil. And the last game, Argentina versus Colombia. Colombia look like they've had a good run. This would be a good tournament if this run actually does happen. But I think narrowly again, I'm going to say Argentina just about win the game and go to the semi-final. Okay, then this is where it gets big. France against Spain. I think France win in Dallas. And then in Atlanta, Brazil versus Argentina. That game will be heated, it will be big, and I think Brazil will just about win it. Alright? I think Spain beat Argentina in the third place playoff, and we get a France versus Brazil final, and my winner will be Les Bleus. That's right. France, I stand by my prediction. They will win this World Cup. That's how I feel. Thank you very much for watching. We'll have to wait and see. The knockout stages begin tomorrow, and hopefully see you again very soon. Nomegs and These Science has now expanded beyond just YouTube. It's now well and truly listenable through short videos over Instagram and TikTok. And soon we plan to even expand it more beyond Spotify. If you enjoy our content, we'd appreciate a follow or a subscribe or a like or anything depending on where you're watching this. Thank you very much for watching this, and we'll hopefully see you very soon.